as opposed to a boat, as opposed to like
it's a bit longer, but
another form of travel.
Maybe a kayak at some point. I don't know. As Sienna gets banned, we just continue putting up the stakes of the group. If the Soniqs get 1 point, so they get a map, and Sandbox wins 2-0 on the other side, Empire will be sent home. And that would mean we lost 2 of our European teams, which is definitely not something we will be looking forward to. So there's a lot at stake right here. Moral of the story, Sandbox on the other stream, they need a clear 2-0 victory. MNM, they just need a victory at all.
It says so much about the fact that there's still all these teams in the firing line on the final day of groups. Obviously, when we came in with this new theme, this new idea for the group stage of you're playing best of 3s, it's 3 points or 2-1. If it goes all the way, then it's sort of opened up these ideas of, are there going to be these pointless games? And to be fair, no. As proven by the fact that Empire, who got off to a bit of a surprise blinding start here, stumbling towards the end, still facing that axe and that chop, there is both these 2 games going parallel on either 2 streams, and both of them are as important as each other.
And something important to mention as well, the first seed in the group is that important because you get an extra life and you skip the very first game. So MNM will definitely be looking to pick that one up. Number 2 and 3, of course, they get an extra life, but will not be skipping the extra game. And number 4 in the group, well, that will have to be an incredible run if you want to win the Six Invitation. Not being able to win, or rather lose, a singular match, I'd say. Not map. They can lose a map.
They can. Yeah, you can lose a map. You can lose a map at this point. Oregon is where we're going to have ourselves setting up for a start. Now, in terms of the bans, the Ying as a sort of particular removal here. It's something MNM don't really like playing against, and Soniqs can bring it. They can have it as a bit of a sharp spear on the tip of a team that is very good aggressive gunners. But as we sort of talked about before and yesterday, what they do so well is that thread of intel and information. They know where everyone's going to be, and they utilize that on their picks and their pushes. On defense, obviously, it's a slightly different story. Where they seem to lack a bit of confidence against NIP was, well, they lost sight of them, especially in the second map. There were these big moments where suddenly NIP was striking, and you could see that Soniqs weren't quite able to thread the pieces together the same way they do so well when they're on their form. The approach comes from small tower. Tyrant and Users going to see if they can get ahead of Neo's drone here, and a bit of a split from the opposite side from Nello and Solotov on the main side.
Yeah, the approach will be coming through. The top floor needs to be droned out first, and once that happens, Neo is already working on that first floor, checking security, seeing if the hatch is reinforced, but also, more importantly, whether or not someone will be hiding inside. Not the case, and as Users starts opening up these rotations to proceed the mobility for MNM's side on that first floor, it is Tyrant that takes the very first gunfight, uses an adrenaline surge to heal himself back up just a little bit there, but Kansan able to at least put a little bit of a scare into the hearts of MNM, and as some drones and cameras are being taken out there, the Soniqs, they also know that 2 minutes now is going to be the timer that MNM will have to knock in their doors and try and break through it.
A bit of width here. It's a pretty standard clear so far. Get yourself locked in on those top couple of floors, limit the rotations that come down, which is why we're having the body presence currently around Laundry and obviously Tyrant on the far side watching tower. Make sure the Soniqs players can't just go for a swing back up, which is how some teams like to play this. MNM is just keeping a bit of a taper, a control and a measure on that approach. Here now, we start to get the actual push against the Soniqs' site itself. The mirror window down deep towards Freezer. They've still got themselves control of around Harry Potter pillar in the bottom of the main tower stairs as well. Kansan's going to be the first to sort of step in, but with that mirror window popped, it means it's a little bit more awkward to hold it. More ADSs fall. A great deep dive in the second mirror window too. Solotov doing huge work with that drone.
Yeah, that means that both mirror windows are taken out. It opens up the attack from Laundry to potentially come through, and as now the wall will be excarced as well by Neo. In just a couple of seconds, they truly want to be punching through at this given side, at the A-bomb side. It will be redeployments of the ADS, however, from Rex, and they want to make sure that they're ready for the push to come through. As MNM, they've given away their plans right here. They will all be pushing from this side, or at least the majority of them, as there is 3 around the corner. Solotov will run. Grenades are being popped, and Neo's trying to sneak in. As Solotov with the very first, gets an injure, needs to push, finds a second.
Now it's battled back and forth, but Yeti's down onto Pillar. They can't quite get that locked in, but they're trying to keep that corner swing under elbow under their control. Solotov is able to find the final kill, puts it into a flat 3-3 though, as they've been able to still build some momentum. 20 seconds. They've snuck themselves close towards the swing round, just misses the side of the mirror. They're stacked up and dug in on that laundry corner. They clean up Users, knock him out of there on the laundry side and slow the smoke on the door. Have to push through it, but dropped by Grixer, who is doing huge work on that laundry side. One more in the middle of the site, and Soniqs, they held themselves at a bit of an arm's length on the approach, but made sure it mattered on the mark.
MNM managed to get quite close there, but as they knew exactly where the push was coming from on the side of the Soniqs, every single gun was pointed in the same direction, and the trades, they went their way. They pick up that first round, a important round for them, because as we mentioned before, just a singular map is all they need to secure themselves to the playoffs, and that is the first goal for the Soniqs, and afterwards, of course, they will fight for the full 3.
Kid Storm's main hall, and they're going to set themselves stacked up, and okay, it is just a bit of a meme at this point. Emma said they struggle with the early mornings. They had a bit of a warm-up there, a bit of a wind-up. They started to drive themselves through, and they have obviously already proven they're a solid team, but Soniqs coming in with energy. Soniqs coming in with something that they might even be able to hold at reserve and start to push later, because you look at that hold, and they pulled themselves back just to the positions. They read really well where MNM were coming from, and you know, they lost the mirror windows, they lost utility, they lost some of the hold that they could otherwise have to be a little bit more solid, but they kept themselves in positions to apply those smoke canisters to the laundry door, to apply the swing round of the Vector as well, that absolutely shredded.
I wonder what it is with UK teams and not being able to perform before 12.
I hope it's not the same with I mean, maybe that's why Desonace is still in bed.
Maybe, possibly. Either way, Soniqs pick up a very good first round here. The Electric Claw will be placed actually inside the cubby to potentially cause a bit of trickery. You know, they'll be looking for it, they'll be trying to find it. There's probably not going to be a grenade landing on their side of the wall to try and find a potential Electric Claw that has been placed there. So, smart placement from Kansan. They could have found out, of course, if they have thoughts on it, if it has been seen before, and, well, that is remaining to be seen. Of course, there is going to be the Maverick on the side of MNM. Nello will be carrying that one with him, and that means that even if that Electric Claw stays, there is a way to open up the wall. It's just a lot more intensive work that needs to be done, and dangerous as well in that given position. There's not really an angle you can play with properly. So Drone and Neo's coming in. Spots this little hole, spots the Electric Claw as well, and MNM, they will now freely be able to pick that one up.
Yeah, they had the idea of where it was, and it's always there, it's underneath potentially. It's not too often it gets tucked in on the other side of the wall, usually as a sort of bait and play, but grenades often rain in from that little tricky window just in the divot of the building itself. There's some presence coming in underneath for MNM. They're going to see if they can try and get some of this verticality locked in as the pressure starts to come across. Another Twitch drone, and that one isn't anywhere near as successful as the previous, but there is still one in pocket. Can try and play against some of that utility a little bit later. Yeti on the wide here, bottom of tower, sitting and waiting. If he can hold himself to a good level, if he can potentially push up kitchen corridor unexpected, as he's sort of eyeing the idea of it could be massively monumental, but the only monuments we're actually seeing getting set up are those drones. They're well aware of this flank watch, and they're going to make sure that they don't get caught out as it comes up white stairs.
Users below has the opportunity to toss up these grenades as the rest of MNM is slowly starting to flood or get around the site. Try and make sure there is no way out for the side of the Soniqs. Yeti, however, looking to find the very first gunfight. Puts his back right towards him, though. Users might have heard that. Knows the players out there. Saw him drop through the hatch, and his Users gets picked up by Rexon as the entry here for the Soniqs from the attic through the hatch. And that is, again, a very welcome opening for them.
There is that intel game I talked about that Soniqs do so well. The second, Yeti caught on to that, and obviously it was just a turn and a drop at the right time of, wait a second, Grixer in the meantime is able to get his second here. Or the second, even for Soniqs, and that's it. They have this cover, they have this line, and suddenly MNM, they thought they had a bit of a hold, but a single call and a couple of swings, and MNM, well, they're kind of looking a little bit worse for wear. Solotov, he's deep diving and goes for the fight onto one, cannot find the second. Rexon secures himself the second, and Neo there over the top is able to get one more, but Rexon's on a triple. He's on a bit of a tear here on the back line of Attic, wants to see if he can add one more to his tally, another head for his mantle in trophy, but Grixer is able to connect on the far side.
Well played by the Soniqs there, and as you mentioned it before, they had the drop through the meeting hall. Instantly, Rexon peeks over from the edit, gets the kill as the chase comes through. But it wasn't the only person on MNM chasing. Solotov went down into the basement as well, trying to hunt down the player that dropped that hatch, but unfortunately for him, already rotated back up long ago. The Soniqs, they started off strong here at Oregon, a 2-0 lead for now. They managed to get the entry frags as well, and even if MNM tried to fight back, the crossfires is there, the passiveness on the side of the Soniqs is as well. We don't see any over-aggression coming out. They have that man advantage. They know they have the advantage there. They can complete the trade game. So there's no point at throwing their bodies at the sides of MNM. Let them walk in. You'll punish them as they go. And it's exactly what they've done so far, as they head over towards the dining and the kitchen area now, the tertiary bomb sites. And, you know, there's always the discussion, is the meeting better or is the dining better?
I mean, we are seeing generally more of a preference for dining. You generally have a little bit more that you can work with. Shower is obviously a huge point of play for some teams, especially when you've got potentially mirror on the board, you've got those swings around that you can do, you can try and secure yourself inside that box a little bit better, and you have width, an important part that you aren't massively offered if you're generally trying to hold the big open play space, because as soon as you lose tower, or as soon as you start to lose west main, it's really hard to get any width or any attention without having to go up or down. This has that little bit extra, that little bit of a side swing, and you'll generally see a point preference, but it often does start in the same take for attackers. Small tower, smash out anybody that's trying to hold in if they are, and then break your way down.
Of course, very often MNM, or the attackers in this case, which is MNM, will be trying to get control of the showers corridor, and then the dining itself as well. Quickly plants right around the corner, not really any risk out there. As grenades are coming out, that's a lot of utility gone on ADS. Oh, actually, the Kona station still stands, and the shield will be gone as well, so at least Rexon has something to continue playing with here. Some verticality will be attempted to see if there's any utility placed on the wall that will prevent them from opening it. It is Yeti that is playing close, has that nitro available as well to toss in as soon as a plant would be attempted right behind the couch. That is why it never really happens there anymore. It's just too easy to counter from these long ranges from either inside the kitchen or the showers itself, which forces the attackers to take more ground.
Users is trying to open up some of these verticality, the C4 pop, but didn't quite get the catch on the player above. And what they've sort of set themselves up for is similar to their hold on the first site here, Soniqs. They've got that arm's length. They've got that veritable no man's land inside dining, backed up with a man with very fancy glasses. Kansan is that back line to ensure that behind a mirror window, literally nothing is going to happen without him at least having the sight and awareness of it. Nello's going for this aforementioned width. He's going to see if he can take a little bit out of this hold, give themselves more of a direct swing. It isolates Yeti, who has to rotate at that point. But look at this, the mirror, as I talked about, it gives you that little bit extra. You can play it a bit further and safer. You don't just have a blind fire fight down the shower corridor.
Seems to be a bit of a worry now in the white stairs window. However, Grixer is standing by on that white window. No one left anymore in MNM, though. They rotated out, but a bit of pressure was put down, and Rexon gets the first yet again. It's the opening from the showers corridor. Grenades are being tossed in to try and at least get rid of the players inside of the kitchen, but Yeti here will go aggressive, digs himself in deep as Rexon will be dug out. It's a 2-0 and the trades continue to happen. MNM now have the upper advantage here, but they need to go for a plant very soon. 34 seconds on that clock, and the Soniqs, they still have some good positions to try and counter them with.
Grixer just dropped from the swing there onto Zulu. Tyrant's keeping it locked down. They're trying to bait a bit of a swing here, but it's Tyrant that is living up to his name. Super has to rotate down and can't quite, does get a great catch, but there is only so many bullets in a tough to control SMG. Could have gone a little bit huge there, but they just had that solidity. MNM, for the first time, find themselves around. They found themselves able to lock out a little bit of space, and they took it, and they just sort of trusted the hold of the rest.
Now, this is the side the Soniqs will have to worry about the least to lose it, right? It's the tertiary side. You only come there if you've won the other two beforehand, to some extent. And they did. Laundry and the bedrooms had been won before, and that pushed them to go towards dining. But now, after the third round has been played, Laundry will be unlocked, and they will go back there with pleasure, as they found quite some success there. They, quite early found MNM knocking at their doors, but, you know, it was a very loud knock. They knew exactly where the push was going to be coming from, and all 5 guns were pointed in that direction. And as a result, the Soniqs were able to win those gunfights, win their ones, as one might say, and pick up the round as a result. 2-1, still in the lead. The Soniqs are, and as they head over towards a fan-favorite bomb site, you could say, this is most of the time when you're playing ranked, the first bomb site you'll see.
A lot of teams go.
A lot of teams go here. Very true.
It gives you that sort of semblance of safety. You'll see some stretches, obviously, of utility depending on the teams that you play, and they have this blue extension. They have what is a traditional way into elbow, the swing with the pocket reinforcement to lock the door if somebody starts to come around that way. MNM, they didn't go for the approach last time. They might this time. They obviously have Solitov on the far side, and he's going to actually start with some pressure here. But with that Banshee with super locked in with the smokes, it's not an easy drive through. It's a bit of utility burn and kind of sometimes a lot of confidence depending on how much the time has been worn down.
Definitely is indeed. As user starts opening up again, it's the same step-by-step plan we were seeing from MNM. That's compared to the last round, as they try to create some mobility, right? They open up that top floor, they open up that first floor, make sure no one is hiding out there, and after that you start creating these rotations so you can quickly rotate around if one side of the attack seems to be going wrong. Solitov is preparing a drone into the big tower here. He's looking to find whether or not Rexon will go a little bit too aggressive, over-aggressive maybe even, so they could pick up on a potential flank. They're currently not watching it actively. Solitov is. MNM again, open up these hatches. They need to find a way into the site, and well, they all would start with an entry, which they are yet to find.
E-Box is going to be the next point of ingress as they try and swing tower. The first fight almost happens, and it almost happens again. That is a very aggressive play from Rexon, who's able to slip his way fast and then back into blue on the opposite side. But he will be well aware of the pressure that's starting to come through. So here's Yeti to come and offer some support just on the backside of the pillar there and put a little bit back against the approach here from the bottom of the tower. There's a Jaeger still trying to find a fight with the Twitch, but neither has quite got the full grasp. And at this point, Rexon's playing with more in his pocket. There was an ADS. The wall behind him sounds like it might start to fall here, which puts it in a little bit of a tricky situation. No, the pellets, there they go, by the looks of it. And they're toying with the idea, and they're trying to get this coordinated, MNM.
Waiting for a little bit of last-second information. The pellets are starting to come in now to make the position a little bit less playable. Rexon forced to go a bit more aggressive as grenades are coming around the corner. That might catch one indeed, but Rexon at the entry first. It's a 4-on-4. It's a trade that came through, and as the grenades now starting to pop, there's 50 seconds left. So your laser gates are being redeployed. Rexon's position is known yet once more, but they need to start pushing soon on the side of MNM. And well, as long as that backstairs is still under the control of the Soniqs, there's little they can do.
Rexon is causing so many problems here, and he's still causing them. Kansan gets to use this on the swing round, dropped right into Yeti's gunfire. Soniqs were entirely set up with open arms to catch all of the MNM players that tried to go for the drop drive. There's Super locked down in the corner. Nello has nowhere to really go. Another canister pops. And even trying to pass through, that would be his end at this point. No real choice or chance to do much else. Rexon might see if he can swing and get one more for the tally, but Super's sort of saying, this door's closed, this round is the Soniqs', and this is them on 3-1.
Yeah, they're taking that lead, they're trying to advance on it as well, and as you said, it's the Soniqs, their round. If you're looking at it there, not a dent has been put into their defense. Yes, they lost a singular player, but every gunfight afterwards was people dropping hatches, instantly being taken out, trying to descend the stairs, but not even reaching that floor that you wanted to reach. And that is basically the story of that bottom floor so far. And the Soniqs, they take a very deserving round win there, and moving over back towards the dorms, are looking to find yet one more. They want to have at least 4 rounds in this half. That is going to be their minimum. Of course, looking for a potential 5. If they continue what they've been doing before, then they should be successful. Of course, with the only exception round 3, which was taken by MNM. However, every entry so far have gone into the way of the Soniqs.
It was also the round that MNM took off of either a 3K or a 4K by Tyrant. I'm not entirely sure what it entirely ended up on, but it was a big pop-off performance there, and I think that's one of the things right now is you can see how Soniqs are moving on their defense, how they're getting themselves stacked up. I pointed it out as soon as they got the call that it was Tower and Rexon was doing Rexon things at the bottom of the stairs, bouncing between Pillar and Shaiko. You're looking at Yeti moving up. You're looking at, well, Super doesn't have to do anything because he has the support there for Rexon on the far side. He's already in the right place. But then another gun. Grixer steps around into the side itself to drop the other side of E-Box if they try and get into position. That coordination, that cool and the calm is what almost carried them to a map yesterday. As they admit, they started to make a little bit of mistakes when the pressure got a little bit too hot. It's just down to them riding this skill and this caliber all the way home. MNM, they are unfortunately having a little bit of a disconnect here on their approach. It's an early game and an early start. And, well, they're sort of struggling to pull these fights out. The performance, obviously, that we've sort of had from them has been a little bit up and down across this tournament so far. Yep. Yesterday against them, it was a high up.
It was a high up. And they're looking to try and potentially fight for a first place. It is quite important. You play one game less, which means that you proceed further into the tournament. As users now with the drone will be trying to figure out whether or not there is a member inside of the kitchen. Indeed, there will be. In Yeti, they will be rotating out yet once more, playing around the dining area or the backstage where there is plenty of opportunity to rotate up or down, or potentially be hunted again by the side of MNM. But maybe they should just call to leave him be, because that is what cost them 2 players the last time around when they tried to get that one player going their way. Unfortunately, we're not able to find it. Yeti again in that basement here. The question is, will he be hunted? Will he not be? As the Twitch drones continue to try and figure out where the utility is, it gets caught off by a mute jammer, however.
Kansan, he's going to be under a bout of pressure and he's going to pull himself just a little bit out towards that Dorm's main hall window as, well, that happened. The grenades swing around and went for a fight. Solotov, though, had the lock and key. They were able to take care of that first engagement and they're still not obviously going to put the direct pressure onto the site, but that forces Yeti to go for a slow creep up, get himself positioned to potentially bite a bit later. Obviously, he has that C4 in pocket and that is a huge bit of utility if he can try and find a way to work it and manipulate it underneath. Yeah, that is why Users is where he is, though. He's going to go fishing with some grenades and see if he can pull anybody out. The ping comes through and Grixer goes out. That is how dangerous those have been this entire tournament.
Yeah, no clue that the yellow ping was coming through, and the grenade just is perfectly cooked from that bottom, tossed in at the very same time as well. And as Yeti goes for another big rotate, even more grenades are being tossed in by the side of MNM, trying to find these default positions where players could potentially hide in. And Solotov takes a small amount of damage. He wanted to go for a bit of aggressive peek through the games room. Gets healed up, however, through the adrenaline surge, and with that, he lives for now. There is going to be the reinforced hatch. It is important to know because the grenades shouldn't be able to pick him up, and Rexon, as lethal as he ever is going to be able to pick up at least the very first on the side of the Soniqs. The grenade gets tossed in, but will deal no damage due to the hatch being reinforced, and Users now will be caught off by Yeti on that flank. Solotov finds one, and Nitro gets tossed up. That might pick up a kill. It does! It is going to be the down onto Super, but the diffuser dropped as well, more importantly. 15 seconds on that clock. Tyrant takes a small amount of damage as Yeti comes in from the back. It is a 1v2 situation. The kill comes through. The diffuser gets dropped once more. It's the shotgun. A 1v1. It's Solotov versus Yeti. Solotov takes a small amount of damage. The shotgun shell misses, and MNM just barely hold on.
Solotov just able to keep that into the guns of MNM. We said Yeti had the possibility to go huge, and he was so close to going huge. Massive takes, massive kills, and massive bouts and blows, but MNM, one single player, one ring around the roses in a 1 versus 1, and they are the ones that are able to leave with that. One tag to the other one, it's 2 now, 3-2-2. Soniqs are looking for a single round. They are looking to try and get themselves that 4-2 split to give them a little bit more energy moving into their attacks, the standard and familiar that we have onto Oregon. A 4-2, and they're back to Dorms where they think they might be able to get it together.
Team kill actually, or the down came through on Super with that Nitro as well. So he managed to pick up the diffuser, which was quite important, but however, maybe deciding in the end the injury onto Super, being not in the right position at the right time, maybe a small bit of miscommunication coming through, which led to that moment. Otherwise, he could have been a difference maker. Super could have had that shotgun blast off and the player just entering the Dorms on the B-bomb side. However, that's the past. They have learned from some of these mistakes. You will assume we're heading back to the very same site. Running it back here, as MNM for the first time in this game have been able to pick up an entry frag and make that 2 afterwards, because they had that 2-man advantage at the start, which then was quickly turned around. Luckily for them, however, they already had the momentum and the advantage on the side itself, being able to play it out there, urging Yeti to come back quickly.
Soniqs, they've set themselves, as we said, back in dorms in MNM. They were able to get a couple of early entries. It was the battle back that came from the site, and obviously the movement before and underneath that started to net a little bit more shakiness in the final approach. And obviously the almost most important take there, as we said, Yeti coming up trophy and dropping the diffuser. Here, MNM, they still know that they can improve this approach. Yeti himself is actually in a different position for the first time, and, well, this is also the first time we're seeing this take directly and quite quickly towards Attic, whether Nello entirely goes through with it or is just preparing himself so he can drone with some safety. Either way, that drone is going to start its work on the opposite side.
Hasn't opened it up completely yet. It is, however, the Twitch drone to be put in a position where when the execute seems to be nearing, he could take out some of that utility. That would be crucial. Now, in the meantime, we'll be opening up. It's the Banshee that they attempt to at least disable, but lose the Twitch drone as a result. Neo, actually, getting his drone into a different kind of position in the corner just so they could see if anybody is inside the attic, which is, of course, the case as Rexon and Kenzen playing there. And Rexon has been having an amazing game so far. A very lethal player, just completely picking apart MNM in most of the rounds here. Just wasn't enough in that last round. Solotov holding the very tight angle. It's MNM looking for a way in, but as long as the Soniqs stay passive the way that they're currently playing, there is no way for them to actually find that way, and they will be forced to enter the site, to jump through these windows or push through the serial laser gates. And that is what the Soniqs are waiting for.
Rexon, he's buried behind the half wall, and they start to stack themselves up to try and dig him out. The grenades are probably or potentially going to be angled and bounced over the top. They're concerned about some utility, but whether they've got the call, it's all free. They throw it through regardless. They pulled themselves back towards the double window, and another bounced out, but he's long since gone. This is the game Soniqs like to play, pull themselves back. Yeti, still a loose cannon, potential for fire underneath. He obviously has the reverse on that hatch, and Nello's watching for a direct flank at this point, but it's the caution that MNM have to pay here. They're still just sort of trying to blow up holes and see if they can get that early catch. By this point, they'd at least obviously had two before their collapse on the site itself, and there's Nello trying to find the fight with Yeti underneath as the rest of them see if they can just get, well, anything from the site. Neo is knocking on the door, more explosives, nobody is home. Yeti with a huge rotation, and Nello is just going to see if they can light them in as Netty, he is just going to get that locked in. Neo and Nello either side. Yeti finds that huge swing on the back, just misses the man who's planting, can't get the connection. And suddenly it's a shotgun. Super's trying to break and ballast his way all the way back through, but he is all that is left. So sudden. MNM trusted that they had that safety of that square to plant, and Yeti just couldn't get that full connection.
Getting loud as well on the other side. MNM able to draw out the 3-3 here, and that brings us to the second half. Might not be ideal, ideally what the Soniqs would have wanted, but it's not the end of the world in the end here. The attack for them now starts. MNM on the defense, and whereas that last round was a good attack for them, I think even the best they've had so far, it almost went wrong. If the C4 from Yeti didn't pop and give away his position, he would have been able to pick up Nello. Then the cover wouldn't have been there from the attic. Someone could have rotated back out, potentially end the round. It's all just what ifs, but just to tell you how important a single C4 detonated early can be for a round end in the end. It's 3-3. We are all equaled up. The Soniqs, they've done their best in that first half. They managed to get 3 rounds out and now are looking to find more on the attack. We'll mention it again. They just need a singular round, a singular map, actually. For that single point, they need to be confirmed for the playoffs, because there seems to be a little bit of pressure coming from the other stream. I'm not quite sure what the scoreline is currently. Surely that will be put into our ears very shortly, as it is important. And we have a little bit of a timeout anyway.
We have a quick rehost.
We
have a quick rehost just to get everything sorted. But a 3-2-3 half, and you could see that MNM had a little bit of energy. Nello, the man with a huge load of experience, the man who has lifted a major trophy on a grand stage in Tokonami, one of the last times EU has, as a region, had that sort of level of success.
Yeah, it definitely has been a while since we've seen success from Europe coming through.
And that's us saying it.
That's us saying it. NA had a bit of a shorter history, looking back, of course. Space Station Gaming being the last one. But hey, it is all attempt this year, and potentially that will change. Who knows? Maybe it will be the Soniqs if they manage to push through. I mean, they are a very solid team. We have to say their gunpowder or the gunfight ability is just very strong here. And again, that nitro could have changed everything. Of course, if it was just 2 centimeters more towards the inside of the building, it would have been a kill, not the down. It's super. It's all just what ifs at that point. But just to tell you how close the Soniqs have been in actually closing out these rounds.
I think seeing Yeti have the confidence of movement is a big part for me so far.
It is.
Because yesterday in the showdown where things went away from them, he wasn't quite able to have that confidence. He wasn't quite able to find himself moving against NIP, and whether it was because he got caught early on and felt a little bit more cautious with his approach, or a different tactic that the team wanted to approach with him. Either way, I think against MNM, if he can sort of make some of these connections happen in the right place, which is hit and miss so far, and it's very easy to kind of pick up and learn and build in and amongst that, if that makes sense. I think the Soniqs might be off to a little bit more of the opportunity. They're in good spirits.
They are. And I just received some news as well.
Oh, yeah?
I'm going to say spoiler.
Is it a spoiler
alert.
for the other game?
It is going to be a slight spoiler.
Yeah, go on.
At this moment in time, Empire is 5-1 up against Sandbox.
Okay.
Sandbox, as we know, they need a 2-0 clear-cut win to potentially relegate the Soniqs back to the United States.
That's it.
So, for now, there is not too much pressure upon the Soniqs, but of course they won't know that. They don't get these large scorings like we do, and they just want to close it out themselves. It always feels better to qualify yourselves than have it by another team that loses or drops the ball.
It's something that gets said every single time a team gets through, not because of their game on the final game day where it matters. So if a team loses, or another team loses and you get through because of it, regardless of your result, and then you go on to lose, for a lot of teams, that's a bit of a downer because they'll say it themselves, you want to get through on your own merit. It gives you so much of a better swing. You feel more like you're ready for the fight that's going to come. You want to go hard because the way the bracket's going to get shifted and put together is you have to beat everybody. You have to beat everybody to get into the position of the hammer.
You have to be able to beat everybody, and of course you won't play every single team at the 6th Invitational here, but with the lower bracket there is still quite a bunch of teams you will be playing if you manage to end up there in the end. But for now, the Soniqs will be on the attack and they're looking to close it out themselves. All they need is just a single extra point over the side of Sandbox, just so they cannot catch up. And it could either be by Sandbox dropping it or by the Soniqs picking one up themselves. It is just that 1 point difference.
1 point. That's all they need.
That's all they need indeed. Whereas MNM, they're chasing a victory. Doesn't matter for them if it's a 2-1 or a 2-0. That is what they would need to secure themselves in the first seed, which gives you an extra life and 1 game less to play in that upper bracket, which is always going to be a very welcome. It's something.
A little bit of pace here to be applied as they try and just get an idea of what's going on in Freezer. I'm curious about how the Capital is going to be deployed because you don't always see it for what he can offer them. If they can smoke themselves in on Laundry, which seems like he's currently in the position for, but obviously 2 minutes, all the time in the world for them to go for a massive rotate if needed. They're just going to see if they can weigh up the pressure onto Freezer, which if you want to take Laundry, you've got to have that crossfire. You've got to try and force them out of position. Nello might be that first line, but you've always got to keep a consideration onto users. With that mirror window, they can stack themselves up. If Nello falls into Laundry, there it is. Users is only a couple of feet from filling in the opposite spot. Rexon was eyeing up an attack there as well, and you can see the inner workings of Soniqs, the width that's coming from Kansan, but it goes against him. Nello with a huge take all the way back on the opposite side, and it's an early blow. They've lost, obviously, them Flores drones.
Yeah, that's going to be 4 RC Roteros that can no longer be used to get rid of any pieces of these utility. And as the mirror windows were actually kept in hand by users, they now have been deployed. It seems like they have a clue where the attack is actually going to be coming from, but a Twitch drone now on the chase, trying to find a way to get rid of these mirror windows. Now, of course, losing the drone itself. And as he is going on a small hunt all the way through that top floor to potentially jump the hatch and come around the corner, it is Nello waiting. Saw their actual set there and manages to find that drone, as they didn't use an actual drone as a bit of a distraction first. So MNM, for now, the mirror window stick.
Grenades drop towards a player in a very dangerous position. Nello really has nowhere else to go and is trusting the swing of his teammates either side. And Rexon is actually the first to be scraped, but Nello locks in his second and is somehow able to slip by. Now with them just struggling to get a bite back, 20 seconds, and Soniqs, it's now or never really, and the drones are still going to try and burr their way through, but with the backline still in place and a C4 tossed, they're just burning utility. Smoke canisters stop a clean entrance. A great take from Yeti over the top, but 10 seconds, and they haven't been able to get any boots inside the site itself. Super just charges, but dropped in the hailfire and curiosities the smoke offers. Yeti, he's curious too, but he can't quite get the same connection. It's a timeout take for MNM.
Timer runs out indeed, and there was just a little too late for the side of the Soniqs there. They did manage to get rid of the mirror window at this second attempt with that Twitch drone, but Nello already fell back to behind the laundry machine. At that point in time, he was dug into that secondary position, and that is something we talk about every now and then as well. You have your primary point, but you fall back as soon as the pressure gets too big, and with the asphyxiating balls, the smokes, the grenades, and the Twitch drones shortly coming around the corner, he felt that that indeed was the moment to fall back, make sure he is safe in that position where he can still deny the actual side entrance, but isn't necessarily at risk for anything that comes close around the corner. And now as MNM, they pick up their first offensive round. They thread into the steps that the Soniqs have been able to put up before, and they head towards the dorms themselves.
It's always still worth the consideration that it's tertiary sites, it's tertiary positions, and even half makes things a little bit tougher, but Oregon is a tale of three. It's a rhythm like a waltz, I believe, is the one that's in the... Milos is somewhere.
I don't know
sitting.
much about dances, but
Milos is in the green room like, idiot. It's...
I just want to say I said interesting 3 times in a row yesterday. It didn't come to slap me with a dictionary, so...
You will later. Now you've reaffirmed it.
I'm just saying, like, I'm still waiting for it. Seems like he might have just put a blatant lie up on the socials.
Rexon, I really like that drone spot, just tucked in on the shelf behind the books and making sure they have that connection, because it's a bit of isolation that you sort of play here. We talked about the importance of the verticality when Yeti was roaming around trying to keep himself tough to spot and, well, taking tough blows out of their opponents. It's something where you can play that loose play. It looks like they've got Solotov off all the way inside the dining room for now, but as I said, with that drone there, there's Yetis that gets a big call. Look at Supers as well. They are hunting Solotov. He takes a rotate out round into Zulu, but they're almost already stacked up there. And whether the call came that there was a player already, there it is, dropped and swung round. Solotov is back and forth, but under immense pressure. Tyrant has tried to offer some. He's there on the swing and keeping Tower under control, so Solotov always has a way out.
Only 6 regular drones left at this given moment in time, and the Soniqs, they try and put up the pressure onto that kitchen area. They need to find him at some point, rather sooner than later, because he is in such a dangerous position where he can come in late on that flank as soon as you do start to ascend these white stairs. And grenades now coming in as well. We will be forced back to the back of the kitchen. As Kansan is holding the back of the white stairs, he's making sure that no one will be coming to help him, or at least one of these rotation possibilities gets cancelled out. Yet he might have spotted someone down there by the feet. It's going to be grenades to be tossed in to potentially find the player up into the dorms there, but so far, it's no one that really has been found on the MNM side. They know where they are. They just cannot quite connect the shots or the nades or anything else.
Yeti, he's still trying to fish, and as I said before, grenade fishing seems to be the most popular sport in Rainbow Six Siege. Nello sprays off the bottom of white, is able to take the head off of Rexon, shoulders a fair bit of damage, but huge energy for that player coming back after popping off before, and here he's making sure the popping off is physically and also internally the server too. Yeti's holding off. Gonna see if he can get the rest of him. There's a little bit of a dance and an elbow and a spray, and I mean, it's a tough gun to make mark as Super's trying to put some pressure on from the bottom as well, but he can't quite get that cleanliness, that clean entrance to mean he has the confidence to swing all the way around. Another grenade, another battle utility, and that one doesn't quite get the connection either. Nello is a lot of focus right now, a lot of attention. Another grenade, no. Pulls the pin or puts it back in, even at that point. Waits and pings and bounces it round, and that one swings past too. Grixis suffers on the double window. They need to start to try and make a move somewhere else. Actually, it's just underneath. The fight on double window wasn't anywhere directly. Super finally just charges his way up, misses him. There it is, just connects him. It was covered by the ACOG for just a split second. Another take. Grixis pushing his way up the opposite staircase. Yeti's going to see if he can get the stick in the meantime. 20 seconds. It's a wide swing from users. He doesn't quite have the full read, doesn't have the C4. Solotov sprays, and they're waiting, but it's a post-plant situation with Tyrant going down on the far side. A 2 versus 1 versus 1. Suddenly it's all burnt down to the big double window. Users has the lock-in. He's internal, and Kansan as this stretch goes for it, and Soniqs somehow find that small sliver and pocket round on the back of the dorms. The metal frame offers the protection, and they keep us tied up.
Well played by them. They managed to find the entry on the side, instantly make use of it and go for a plant. And as a result, the pressure is on to the Marshmallows and Molotovs, who needed to fight back. But unfortunately, we're not able to do so in time. And even though it came down to a 1v1 in the end, and well, some great takes from Nello. Super being able to pick up that kill and basically denying any presence from the white stairs. Enable the rest of the Sonics to push through for a plant.
4-4. 4-4, and once again we're in this game with the Sonics a little bit back and for fourth into Oregon. At least there is this stretch, a double down of the sites here. MNM think that they can try and change a little bit and adapt themselves into a little bit of safety here, and well, maybe it's users playing this role. They've pulled away from the kite clause, pulled away from the fact of trying to limit the hard destruction, because to be fair, Soniqs didn't really pay any of it too much attention. Sure, they had the breach onto walk-in, but most of the push, most of the structure and solidity came from underneath the bottom of white, came from that push as far as I'm aware, based on what we had the intel at the time. There wasn't anything from Attic or from the other side of Big Tower, so why not try and limit that movement that Soniqs were able to make work for them?
Yeah, exactly. And again, I'm going to be highlighting it. Super being able to get the kill onto Nello, who was playing on the top of the white stairs, is so important, because suddenly you have the opportunity to dig yourself in deep on the bunk bed and get a plant in where they are unable to do anything about it, especially with the bottom floor control. That was still in the hands of the Sonics at that given time. And yes, of course, we did see, I believe it was Solotov playing from below, trying to get some floor bangs out with the MP5, and unfortunately for him, was unable to find anybody. And the Sonics, they equalize the score. It's a 4-on-4. Grixer has to be careful, though, as there is some presence around on the back stairs here, and Tyrant could be coming up at any given moment, as we're still playing on the same bomb site. We haven't changed. It's running it back yet once more. As he opens up the door right here, he doesn't know that there is someone quite close. Finds a Twitch drone, however, which is going to be quite important.
Grixer lays in wait and absolutely picks apart Tyrant there. As he said, it was intel. I wanted to do a whole David Attenborough bit, but it happened so much quicker than we could actually get the burst on it. Users tries to set himself up with some cover there. As I said, those might be a big blow later. Solotov, he's lost that support. We talked about it before, how much attention was paid to him, but the freedom that he had was sort of solidified on that run and that escape on Kitchen Corridor. He can take the hatch as well, but it's a blind drop, and sometimes that can be entirely dangerous. Look at this. All the intel in the world. Solotov loses a fraction of his health, but he knows the pressure's going to come on. At this point, it's potentially just I've got to take a drop sooner rather than later, lads. As the Sonics, they're entirely circling. They have the pressure on Dining. They have both sides of Zulu. The blinds start to come through. The first body moves on. It is going to hit the rotate sooner rather than later. He's going to see if he can stick it just for a second. To be fair, he's doing a great job of wasting time, but at this point, the Sonics, I mean, they're still just trying to find him. There he goes. Off and out. He's out of there, and yet he finds users in the meantime grenade fishing.
Second kill and the second advantage coming through on the side of the Sonics right here. And that means that 4-on-4, but a 5-on-3 in the current round. Sonics are looking to put up the advantage here, are looking to pick up a 5th round. However, they need to make sure that they shut down any attempt from MNM to try and hold on to whatever it is they will bring to them. Because there is still this roamer, there is still Solotov that has the opportunity to walk right around the corner and pick up some important kills and shut them down, as a diffuser might never reach the site.
Solotov is trying to, as we said, retake, and he's looking on the backside of Zulu. Super still holding it off. They have some clarity, and they have the body swing up first. An opening take is Rexon's. And now with only 2 players left inside the site itself, they're going to see if they can try and get something back. They obviously still have some of the holes that are pieced together by the players, but with Super digging in, it's only really a matter of time before Yeti can try and feel the confidence to make the push. They are being forced and funneled away from the same plant spot that they took before, 15 seconds. It takes just one bold play. Bold is a little bit out of stretch. Neo doesn't quite get that opening take. There's a C4 that stops Kansan, but a second body hops in immediately after 5 seconds, and they're now safe to try and stick it behind the opposite side. It's a post plant, and pretty much confirmed now. It's a win on the fight on the far side. Neo finally finds it out on Trophy, but Rexon locks the main door, and Soniqs double it down on Dorms.
Well played by them there. I really have to commend the fact that they send in a player first, not with the actual case. Bait the player, bait the utility, and as soon as that Nitro popped off, all right, it's free to go now. Let's go and get that plant right behind the bunker bed. You might step into a goo mine, but at that moment in time, you just keep walking until you're into safe ground. And Grixer here, important. He might have lost his Twitch drone, but he picks up a very important kill and result. And that's exactly what I mean. Kenzen gets blown up. It is what it is. It opens up the opportunity to actually get the diffuser in. So
that's his role.
He helped them there.
We have news, don't we?
We do have news.
We do have news. If you don't want spoilers for what is happening on the B stream and the game that has the impact on this game as well, if you want to just play this out and watch it back, cover your ears.
Are you going to say no, or am I?
You can tell them.
The Soniqs have qualified for the playoffs of the 6 Invitational. It is Empire that have taken the first map by storm with a 7-2. But of course, no one in this match will know.
No one in this match knows.
MNM has a lot to play for. The Soniqs, all they care about is get that one map to ensure themselves for playoffs, even though they already are. But they want to do it on their own merit. They want to show that they could have done it even if Sandbox would have won 2-0.
I think, to be honest, if you're any of these teams, you want to go into any series winning it as well, regardless.
Yes, of course.
But as we saw yesterday with BDS, when the pressure was off, although it was a sad series, they played the best season they've played all week, because at that point, everything's gone. Everything is just a matter of playing, and, you know, you'll never truly know what the players know in between maps. You can assume that they're not going to tell them during the map, because if anything, it'll just distract them. It'll throw them off regardless, but it could set a mindset for them to set themselves up. Here, Soniqs 5-4. They've been able to pull themselves back that lead after just losing it for a little bit, and building a very good one in the opener.
Goes Twitch drone, send it towards the big tower there. The question is whether or not it did eventually reach it. Quickly trying to find out. Yes, it did, actually. Went in.
It's right.
Oh, no. Wait, did it go in? Yes, it did go in. All right, never mind. I was kind of confused because he suddenly swapped at the moment we got it on the POV.
Yep.
There it is. A very good throw. Good arm here for Rene. And right now the hatches are being opened up as well, but it's out of Yeti. As the pressure needs to come down. Of course, it is back into that basement. It's a very difficult side to attack, but if the Soniqs manage to find a victory here, they'll find themselves at a very important point in the matchup where they would have 2 map points available to them. Would they lose this, then that round 11 will be the all-deciding one where someone will be receiving a map point.
Now, what we had last time we were on Laundry was quite a late push onto the actual utility. They set themselves up very well here, Soniqs, but when the push came to the shove, obviously Nello was able to get a absolute screamer of an opening kill deep from one side to the other, the same way he's playing it all the way through that Gallows of Freezer. But from that point onwards, Soniqs, they struggled to get the mirror windows, and when they were able to, then the push is coming through smokes, and it's never true clarity. Here, they have a bit more of a stretch. They have that single player on the far side. They've prepped themselves to be a little bit protected with the Grismots underneath the E-box drop if it goes a little bit aggressive. Nello is hit and stunned, and Tyrant moves into Freezer to actually see if he can rebuff some of the pressure that was coming out, but Rexon, well, he didn't predict it, true say, but he did have a bit of deja vu. Nello from deep once again finds the same kill he found before and starts things off here on Laundry in the same fashion as the previous round.
Grenade rolling right underneath the drone hole there. Tyrant almost losing his life there, but just barely hanging on. With a 5-on-4 and a man advantage is the Excaliburs that are being picked up by Nello. He is all the way deep in. He got an amazing first kill for the round on MNM's side, and he's looking to find a second one as well. Grixer, however, spots him out, smokes him out as well to make sure there's not that much he can do to damage him. Grixer somehow finds Kenzen, but at least they continue pushing. Yeti gets the kill onto Tyrant. It's a 4-on-3 with 20 seconds left. They need to start pushing through, and an extra smoke grenade gets tossed in.
But it doesn't really cover that angle that Solotov's got close onto Yeti, and it's now 2 bodies and another firing line. And sure, they've got 1 player smoked off, but the swing is just as dangerous. Grixer is able to at least pull one out of it. A handful of seconds. It's got to be a mad dash across Neo. But Nello as well has that pincer locked in twice. They've been able to hold onto Laundry, but it is the only site that they've been able to hold. So now begs the question, are they going to return to where Soniqs have been able to lock them out of Dorms twice, or do they go somewhere else? It seems currently that they're eyeing up the idea of Dorms, and you start to question, what are they going to question. What do they think that they can change? They obviously went in with the Legion and the Goomans to try and slow the way that Soniqs love to throw themselves into the site and go for those pushes on a Dorm's take. Are they going to potentially offer some support or a little bit more towards Solotov below? Are they going to see if they can maybe even pull that player further away? Because you think of the time that was burnt and attention paid and focus, it's a game of slowing that down or leaning into it.
Twice, however, on that bottom floor, the timer was run out or close to running out. So that is something to keep in mind as well, whereas they really didn't have that issue when they were attacking the dorms area. So Soniqs seem to be more efficient up onto the top floors than they are on that bottom floor, and that's quite logical. It is a very tough side to go for, and especially with the take they choose to go for, they opt to go for, which is going to be that laundry slash freezer push. It is not one that we see successful very often, but at least it's something new, and it is something that not a lot of teams will have defended to. I dare to say if they were maybe a little bit quicker in their execute, had some more time to deal with the players of MNM and didn't have to go for these, these panic sprays, these smoke canisters to quickly put a band-aid on an issue that they've been having, they might have been able to actually properly attack that site. Now, again, it is all what-ifs, and we won't be seeing the laundry anymore unless we do reach an overtime situation. Then it's very likely that MNM will go back there at some point, because they have been able to win it twice out of the 2 times they've played, unlike the Dorms, which they have lost twice out of the 2 times they've played. And now the third one is on the way, and the big question will be there that which team is going to be reaching that map point first? Is it the Soniqs that then feel all the pressure be relieved of themselves if they would win this map? Or is it MNM that is still chasing that first place with NIP not playing at this very moment? Is that a Twitch drone that just got blown up?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a mix there. They obviously had the Twitch drone trying to make its way up the stairs, take care of the Banshee or the presence that might be behind it, but the grenade came in at the same time. A little bit of a lapse there, but those things happen, and you got to see if you can keep pushing past. Here's the change that we might have been able to highlight. Tyrant. As I said previously, they've generally ignored tower. This time they've stuck a player all the way at the top. Maybe he might be able to get a swing onto a loose player that happens to drift a little bit too dangerously on the big window, which they know has been a big point of pressure, a big sort of lead-in towards the site take itself from Soniqs. Kansan has it at arm's reach, has it with a little bit of safety with Yeti there too. They obviously have pockets full of grenades, and they're more than happy to start trying to throw them in as the first one bounces over the top. Will it get it? It will! Nello is removed with a perfect arc throw there from Yeti. And that is a huge player because he was a big problem on the slowdown before. Tyrant's still waiting. Soniqs aren't gifting him anything.
Definitely not gifting him anything here. And that very first skill is going to be so important. Suddenly that's 1 man less on the side. That gives you that advantage of theoretically 2 now, with Tyrant still being near the tower area. Of course, he rotated around. In the meantime, he is in that attic now, is looking to find a way to actually support his team. Because the tower, it is a great spot, but only if the attacking team puts himself in a vulnerable position for it, and that is something that the Soniqs have not been doing. They are covering up every single angle of that. They give them the big tower, but it doesn't really seem to matter for them.
Super, he's in a position to start opening up the floor the same way he did before. First, underneath the rotation. So if Tyrant tries to slip by, they might be able to, well, be caught. Solotov's in the close corner. He doesn't have a huge amount of places he can go, because if it starts getting opened up, well, he gets opened up. Tyrant down as well. Kansan and Super suddenly explode with the combination of the grenade that dropped the player before. Neo's a little bit lost for source right now as he's trying to keep everything a little bit more tasty. Uses with a wide swing, gets Rexon on the top of White, but look at the Yeti's in the site. He's going for the same plant before. The C4 finally catches the diffuser. It's Kansan. They've got to push themselves onto that kit and see if they can get it recollected, but another C4 is in pocket. Will he have the time to make it all the way? He is running as fast as his legs can carry him. He's not going to get the catch. He doesn't get the player either. Super's out of there. And a second is the split difference there. Dropped and revealed. They have themselves set up with a crossfire. Soniqs, they were just able to get that recollection and just able to get themselves locked in. The communication and coordination led to them being able to stick it in the meantime. 6-5. Soniqs are sitting on map point.
Very clean round from them there, and as the Nitro came through, there was a small bit of panic from the 2 players onto the white stairs, but then they realized, all right, 10 seconds left. plenty of time at such a situation. It's a 2-on-4 at that case, right? So there is theoretically plenty of time. You just need to find that player that is about to swing through that door. And as they did, as they picked up users, they knew it is clear. Now we can start running, because if everybody just starts running into the side of that very moment, you might as well just hand it towards the MNM site there. So good recollection from the side of the Soniqs, as well, disaster almost struck them at the end of time. And now a map point for them. Even though they're already confirmed for the playoffs, they do not know that themselves necessarily, and they want to do it on their own merit. And that is what this round will be. Is it their own merit that will carry them through?
In the words of Demo, I'm assuming he's saying this somewhere, watching this game, MNM, I'm not going to try an impression of his accent, they don't have the confidence to swing fights right now.
Yeah.
He is a big believer that they can be some of the best gunners in this whole tournament. He's proven right at points and unfortunately proven wrong. There's this sort of...
It's before 12 he's proven wrong.
Yeah, it's this dib-dab of confidence. Here and on that site, you can see them generally all pulled back into it. They weren't playing with that confidence of, well, we can swing into them, we can sort of take these fights and gambits. And okay, it's not the easiest thing in the world, especially on a site like Dorms, where you know that they're going to be stacked up on that double window, but you're looking at Solotov before, he was sort of trying to burn and waste time itself, and Tyrants are looking to be gifted these moments, and it's that confidence that they'll throw up against a team like Empire yesterday, and then here against the Soniqs, they can't quite find it. They can't quite find that rhythm. And Soniqs, I mean, we know they're very talented gunners. We know that they can drive themselves into the site with that backline and the idea of a plant. I like that they have a little bit more of the control than they seem to have than NIP yesterday when things were getting a bit dicey, but it's still just one round, the separation. And here, as they go for their approach and their check, it is that site we talked about. The preference is meeting going to be where they meet their make.
It definitely will be. It is an important last side. They need to make sure that this attack sticks. You do not want to go to overtime right now. After all you've done, Soniqs, you do not want to risk it in such a situation. The meeting is there, and that means that that top floor hold is even more important than usually. You have direct verticality onto the kitchen, but also the attic, which gives you that so important hatch, which you can just use to basically scout out the entirety of the meeting room and potentially guide a plant in from out there. You can stop these long angles, and as the concussions are starting to come in, Kansan swings in as well. He wants to go for these early frags. He wants to open up for the side of Soniqs. Is he going to be able to, is the big question as the Twitch drone guides him in.
That's it, that droning game, going for the intel and the call here. It's a back line. They've got themselves that locked off wall onto Trophy, and Solotov's just holding the sliver of the angle below. Tyrant, he can rotate out. He can pull himself back towards the side of Attic if he wants to into tower. Neo's making sure that nobody swings in, but it's Kansan that takes the first swing. He's able to take care of Solotov. They had a bit of a read. There's still another body inside Dorms, and it's users holding off an angle, hopped up and waiting for an approach, but you can see all of those blue bodies. Soniqs are looking to see if they can get just something else from this, as there is some pressure that's coming underneath. It's the cautious approach, because although it is a territory that you want, and the fight is about to start to explode. A direct push. They don't know that Users is there. He's waiting for the moment. Takes the fight onto the
he loses it out!
Swings it out with that LMG. Is able to utilize all that it offers. Is going to see if he can find the second. Rexen over the top of Attic. Yeti is the first to suffer. Nello with the C4 from underneath, but 30 seconds. Neo now has to see if he can retake, but he cannot. Grixer locks it off with an F2. The connection is all his. Nello is that back line. We said he was one of the most storied players and one of the only ones from EU to hold the last trophy EU held. But now he's in a position to see if he can keep out this map. The defuse is down. The post plant, all the controllers away from him, and he has a gun that doesn't have many bullets in, as we've seen it many times before. It can sing. But at the minute, I think it's a little bit of a sad song. Down to 1 HP. The bodies are coming from behind him as well at this point. They've got themselves locked in. They know exactly how to lock him out. And as we pass the 20 seconds, the hatch will likely be his undoing. They just pre-fire. They've got an LMG and they've got a Rex and Soniqs. They secured themselves. Regardless of the story on the other game, they needed one map. They look like they want to have two.
They need a one map, and they know what was going on as well. Jobro, his glasses almost fell off as well, as they have a small celebration. Of course, not the end, just the first map in the series, but you see how much it means to them. The congratulations are going out. They have made it. They are through to the playoffs here, and now it is just going to be in question for seeding. Will they be in the 4th seed or top 2/3, as those will also be quite important. The Soniqs, they've done it on their own merit, also were helped by Empire, of course. But they'll be very happy with that. And MNM, they can still get the first seed for the group. All they just need is the next 2 maps, but with the way that the Soniqs are currently playing, that might be a very tall ask.
I wouldn't entirely write out MNM so far. As I said, it's a confidence thing, and the best time to talk about that is between maps. The best time to sort of get the boys together, as you know Amada's going to do, and try and drive home that level of confidence because they know what they're capable of. They were able to take huge games against teams, and it's just that sort of wibbly line that they haven't quite got smooth just yet, but it is still a best-of-3 series. Both these teams now confirmed. This is a purely seeding match at this point. I mean, it's the final day, it's the final time, and this was a group where nobody was confirmed. So we'll go to a quick break before we're back with map 2.